Question number one, describe your personal experiences with e-learning this year. Was it positive, negative, or more nuanced? Explain in detail.
My experience with e-learning, it was kind of negative for me because without like the energy of being in person, I found it really hard to motivate myself without, like I said, just like teachers and other students kind of keeping me going. So I think even though I didn't realize it, I sort of needed to be in person, and it did not help me to be sort of self-paced.
Yeah, thank you. Very interesting. And then question number two, describe your personal experience with the hybrid school schedule this year. Was it positive, negative, or more nuanced? Explain why in detail.
The hybrid schedule is actually sort of beneficial to me, at least when we were 2 days a week. I actually really liked it because I would go to school on like Tuesday and Wednesday, and then I would look forward to Thursdays and Fridays when I got to stay home. So yeah, I think I liked that better, but I also like full time.
Cool. And then what was it like for you to eventually transition back to a semi-normal schedule, like at the end of the school year or near the end, like in April? What things that e-learning made impractical, and or unsafe did you have to relearn or get accustomed to again?
I think for everyone, it was a little bit weird to kind of go back to every day in person because we had just gotten used to being at home at least part of the time. And yeah, the transition, it was pretty seamless for me because I knew how to sort of start getting ready and back into school. So yeah, I think it was fine.
Got it. And then, okay, did you have to like relearn anything or no?
Probably just are you meaning academically?
Yeah. And then, in what ways would you describe this school year's methods of remote learning as differing from last year's methods? Besides the fact, of course, that last year's methods were much more disorganized. So excluding that factor.
Yeah, I think besides disorganized, the regular Zoom schedule, like joining right when your class starts, I think was a big help for me to just kind of have school feel like school again. And like at least in 8th grade, I remember my teachers would sometimes say like we have a class in 10 or 15 minutes, and I would always miss those. So having a regular schedule that I could count on was more helpful.
Yeah, good. And then, lastly, would you say that you prefer? You definitely prefer normal school over hybrid school. Like, besides the social factors of that are present in normal school, and definitely not present in e-learning. Are there any other factors that elevate normal school over e-learning in your mind, or?
I already mentioned the motivational part of it, and just feeling everyone's energy around me. It helps a lot to sort of just like stay on top of things. Yeah, and then the social part that's the only other thing I can really think of, or at least the biggest factors for me.
Yeah. Describe your personal experiences with e-learning this year. Was it positive, negative, or more nuanced? Explain why in detail.
I think it was more nuanced because I did like okay in my classes, but again, it was hard to focus, and it was hard to understand like some concepts in some classes more than I would have done in if I was in person.
Yeah. And the good, what was the good side of the nuance of e-learning for you?
I think that like it was just easier to like instead of like waking up like an hour early, it only took like 20 minutes just get up and like just go on a Zoom call.
That is very true, yeah. And then describe your personal experience with the hybrid school schedule this year. Was it positive, negative, or more nuanced? Explain why in detail.
I think it was more positive. It went very well. It was like nice to see other people, and it was much easier to concentrate in class.
Yeah. And yeah. So the hybrid you have much more positive memories of than e-learning. So yeah, that is nice. And then what was it like for you to eventually transition back to a semi-normal schedule at the end of this year? What things that e-learning made impractical and slash or unsafe did you have to relearn or get accustomed to again?
It was a bit weird, but then again, it was fine. It was nice to see people like on the um, on the Thursday and Friday days rather than just the Tuesday and Wednesday days. It was also nice to just like be in school instead of just at home.
That sounds pretty accurate. And then, um, uh, what things did you have to get like reaccustomed to doing again?
Waking up earlier and trying to be on time a little bit.
Yeah, I can see that. I had very similar problems too. And then, in what ways would you describe this school year's methods of remote learning as differing from last year's methods, besides the fact that last year's methods were much more disorganized?
It was better this year. It was much more organized. The teachers made their best effort to like keep like everything sort of very organized, and they made it like so you can understand things better while you're at home and like not in like a ordinary classroom.
Yeah. Besides that, what though, what made things a bit more different than that? Like any other differing factors that separate this year from last year's?
I feel like last year it was like we weren't like really used, to like being at home and like being on Zoom for like hours and hours like we are now.
Mm-hmm.
It's just easier. We're just more used to it, I guess.
That is true. And then, would you say that you prefer e-learning in hybrid school over normal school? And explain the reason why or why not?
E-learning in hybrid was nice because I got to basically just sleep in more. But I would prefer normal school because just to, like see other people, rather than on Zoom. And I feel like I I do better when I'm in school rather than like at home. Because like I concentrate more at school rather than at home.